Hello, gorgeous seekers, and welcome to Moon Magic, the Sagittarius new moon that we are going to be having on November 26, 2019. I'm sitting here filming in the daylight while we still have it because in the Northern Hemisphere we are having shorter and shorter days and it gets quite dark quite early already as we head into the second half of November. So, here we are, and the more I've thought about this moon, I had to take a couple of extra days and really sit with it because the message coming through took a minute to sort. There's a lot of this hard-hitting, kind of intense energy on the surface of this moon, where you would think like, that maybe that's the message. But within that intensity, there's a really important message. And so it took me a little while to feel through this Sagittarius new moon. Now, many of you know, Sagittarius is one of my favorite energies. I'm a Sag rising and Sagittarian suns, and Sagittarian energy has played a really, really crucial role in my entire life from the moment I was born. So I am always looking forward to moons with Sag energy, but I will say this. Sag moons are always really honest. I feel like they are one of the more honest moon cycles. So the full moon definitely brings nuggets of incisive, quick-witted, very profound insights, but I think the new moon does as well. And it's a little softer than the full moon in the sense that new moons are all about that integrative listening in, new beginnings process, whereas a full moon's gonna call it out, tell it like it is. But I find that really useful. You know, I think that Sagittarian fire energy, we are just going to be in the first few days of Sagittarius when this new moon occurs. We are getting that the kindling energy that comes after we've been in the depths of Scorpio season, after we've just closed out a really powerful Mercury retrograde and we're in that post-shadow phase where we're collecting the information, we're still putting together, we're still feeling a little shaky from maybe all the things that have come up and about from that. So this new moon is really important. And I realize that it's kind of like a little bit of a gateway moon. And I don't mean that in the sense of, you know, like these galactic gateways that open up necessarily. I mean, you could look at it that way. I kind of mean it's kind of like a ceremonial connecting to the new year from here, from the end of November. And this is one of those interesting things where time and imagination and the way we connect to our future selves, our past selves, our present selves all get interlinked here. And this is one of those moons that I think does that. So let's go over the transits and what the cover story is, and then how to work with that underneath. Because, like I said, you're tapping into energy that you'll be using in January and February and on, but you're here in November. So having to find a way to be peaceful and listen while this is going on is really important. So first things first, the sun and the moon are going to be at 4 degrees of Sagittarius conjunct. That's what makes the new moon. They're going to be cozy there, hanging out at 4 degrees. Now, there's this big opposition going on in the sky that isn't with the sun and the moon. It's Uranus at 3 degrees of Taurus and Mars at 4 degrees of Scorpio. And this opposition is that aggressive energy I was talking about. It's very movement focused. Uranus and Mars both want to shake things up. They do not want to sit still. They do not want to just sit back and relax and be like, meh. You know, Uranus wants to electrify, revolutionize. He's been doing so much in Taurus already this year. And then Mars and Scorpio. Mars is an original ruler of Scorpio. It co-rules Scorpio along with Pluto. But Mars is often seen as a malefic. He's categorized as a malefic planet. You know, he's the god of war. He wants to get in there and take action and make things happen, right? So this opposition can kind of feel like this desire to just burn things down. You know, you're looking around your life and you're maybe tired of the neighborhood you live in, or you're just ready for that that windfall that will allow you to go take that course or go on that trip. And it's like, you're not seeing any of those tangible things around you. And it's making you feel almost like revolting against your own surroundings, revolting against the present moment here and now, and feeling really frustrated with it, not accepting it for what it is. And then also kind of feeling like maybe this is all there is, and then wanting to destroy it in order to escape, right? That's kind of what that opposition brings up, is this desire for freedom, this desire for liberation from anything that feels stifling. And the way to getting to that feels like it could be in taking kind of more aggressive, fiery steps to transmute and transform something. You know, Mars in Scorpio really wants to reshape things in profound, deep ways, right? And so this agitated energy could feel pretty powerful, because you're going to feel a pull to revolutionize, to change, to electrify. Now, that can feel like an agitated, negative state, right? But here's the thing, it's a new moon in Sagittarius as well. So this is a time to sit and listen. This is a time to hear that out. And often we have that urge, we have that call, we have that soul call that is pulling us forward, and it's almost like beyond our own understanding of why it's so important that we need to move on that now. It's really important to listen into the bones of what that is saying, not the like cover story ego stuff of like, I'm worried about what other people perceive of me, or I'm worried that like I'll fail, but like, what is it that you're really craving? You know, where are you wanting to put that Mars and Uranus energy into action in life? Because there is a core message going on there with that opposition. And it gets amplified even more because, of course, there's a quincunx with the Sun-Moon conjunction and Uranus. And quincunxes are really interesting because it's another one of those aspects where it's like, which way should I lean? I can't sort out what is me just being over here philosophical, sun and moon, kind of like flowing with Sagittarian, thinking about the big picture, thinking about the big narrative, thinking about the way I frame meaning in life. You know, that's very much sun and moon, new moon and Sagittarius energy. And then electrical Uranus over there, like, what are you going to do about it? You know, there's like, with quincunxes, what you got going on is these two very distinct voices and not really knowing which way to lean. But I think that just heightens this sense that there's a deeper kernel of wisdom getting activated there with these truth-telling energies. Uranus and Taurus is a truth teller, and so is Sun and Moon in Sagittarius. These are transits that really want to be direct. I want to tell you the truth. And so this is and like I said, this is a snapshot of what you're committing to in January and February. And so part of that irritability and part of that sense of it's like frustrating and electrical and kind of high charged energy is that you're tapping into a place that you're not there yet, but you want to be. And so finding ease with contentment with the present moment, also ready for more, which is a really interesting practice. It takes practice to get good at having both those things be true, is really powerful in this moon. Now, the reason I kind of call it an invitational and opening is because these are not aspects that are like hitting this moon or having to do anything with that opposition I was just telling you about. These are things that are just going on in the sky concurrently. One is that Venus will have just entered Capricorn, 0 degrees of Capricorn. So there's kind of this, you know, when we have like a 29 0-degree placement happening during a full moon like this, you have this sense of a new phase. Venus moving into Capricorn, you know, it's about groundedness, it's about commitment, it's about where we feel, sense of security, sense of profound connection, and committing to path and what we value, what we love. And so that 0-degree placements is really poetic when you're sitting there with this new moon and you're thinking about what it is. What do you want to commit to when this new year begins? What fills you with that sense of love and harmony? And I think that message underneath, that Venusian message of love and harmony and beauty, you know, it's sitting there right under all this aggressive Mars, Uranus, gritty, like Sun, Moon, Sagittarius kind of wild energy. There's like that question being begged. And on top of that, we are in the last days, the last week of Jupiter in Sagittarius. And if you're interested in what Jupiter is going to be doing in Capricorn, go join me on Patreon, you all. It's so much fun. And I just did an amazing talk about why Jupiter in Capricorn is going to really help us tap into tool sets that we need and help us get in alignment and get in connection with the next phase of creation. So if you're interested, go hop on over to my Patreon. I'll leave the link below. But this new moon is highlighting the last days of Jupiter in Sagittarius. We won't have this energy again for around 12 or 13 years. So it's not that far away, but it's not that close either. So we've just come through a big time of expansion, of shakeup, of new fantasy with Jupiter in Sagittarius. And we're closing out everything that year brought us, which is really powerful, right? To have Jupiter closing out its transit during this moon in Sagittarius. And I think a lot of us have gone through evolution, revolution during that transit. Some of you, that has felt really fun and really vibrant and really playful. And I know many of you have felt that it has been very heavy, very intense, even a little destructive. And I do want to address this just briefly here. For those Sages out there, or those people with a lot of Sag energy, or who have felt like they've had a harder year this year, Jupiter is benefic, is about the big expansion, is about giving, is about providing so that people can move forward in life. However, Jupiter is also just like a big spotlight and will expand upon anything that needs to morph or change. And he is not about sitting still. You know, Jupiter doesn't really want people to just sit on their laurels and wait for other things to make things happen. So even though he will give you tools, he will give you information, it's not always easy. You know, it's not always about ease. I mean, it is about ease, but sometimes it's about challenge. Sometimes it's about going outside of your comfort zone. Sometimes it's about things leaving your life that aren't working for you anymore. And so while Jupiter does have this reputation of being fun and flirty, he also has the potential to really change and shift things. So back to my original point, which is this is also a really powerful new moon. So we're having the visionary of Venus at the threshold of Capricorn, and we're also having the last days of Jupiter in Sagittarius. And looking back over what that transit gave. So it's a really great culminating point between these two phases of life. And of course, it's not the new year. It's not the solstice. We're not quite there yet. We're very close, but we're in that part of the year where we're starting to shift over. And this is in some ways symbolically more impactful than the solstice will be. However, keep in mind, this is the last new moon we're going to have before we get back into eclipse season. The next new moon in Capricorn is going to be an eclipse. And of course, we'll get into that when we get there. But just kind of keep in mind that we are also about to start diving into that transformational water as well. So enjoy this new moon that doesn't have an eclipse and isn't about all of that. And kind of notice how, like I said, it's about the visionary aspect of life. It's about how we envision our next phase and getting really strong hits about what that is, what we know is going to change and never go back to the way that it was. You know, for every big, beautiful, bold move we make in life, there is that moment where you also realize you're never going to go do those things that, those things that you were doing like last year that you took for granted maybe, but now you realize because you have new commitments, you're not doing that anymore. So this is a great time to make peace with all of that, to ground in that. And it's also a great time to listen to that electrical Martian voice that's like, I want to get this done. I want to do this. I want to push myself into these new spaces, really listening into that voice that's a little bit more impatient, a little bit hungrier for action and movement in life. Listening to both sides of that is really important during this new moon, and you will find that the wisdom is there for you. Five of Swords. I'm just going to pull 3 cards here. Like I said, I haven't talked much about Sun and Moon in Sagittarius. The Tower just fell out. These are fun cards, but Sagittarius energy and having the moon and the sun there, like I said, it's very philosophical. It's also very good at getting to the heart of something in a sentence or two. So if you're meditating, if you're journaling, you may find that you hit on that one sentence or those 2 sentences or that paragraph that really gets to the crux of why it is you've resisted change or why it is that you want to move on to something new or what have you. So there's a bluntness there with that. And then the Hermit. Okay, so this is a great encapsulation of the 2 energies kind of working with you during this moon, because we have all this resistance right here, right? In 5 of Swords. This is about self-trust. It's also about trusting others, trusting ourselves, trusting our intuition. Solar plexus often needs to get some attention, get some energy moved through it when we have 5 of Swords energy. So if you're feeling that your self-confidence and your sense of intuitive trust are down, it's a great moon to check in with that. And partially that's because, the Tower is about liberation. So Uranus and Taurus is a really interesting transit, and it's long-term, and it's doing a lot with us. But, Uranus getting activated in a new sign like this, Tower is all about freedom. It's all about feeling unbounded by old strictures. And one of the big things about committing to 2020 is breaking down anything that we feel we're holding ourselves back. So if you're feeling like you're not allowed to be joyful, or you're not allowed to make that move, you're allowed to make that change, this moon is going to be hitting right up against any of those places where you're still feeling held captive. And you'll find that those places where you feel captive are where you're getting the strongest hits on that irritable Mars-Uranus opposition energy. And that is why it's important with this Hermit energy to slow down and listen to that. Listen to what that Tower, that desire for liberation, that desire for freedom, that desire for revolution is. It doesn't always have to be about burning your house down, like I was saying at the beginning of the reading. It may be that you're feeling super frustrated because you wanted to be working out this whole time and going to the gym every day, and you, during the Mercury retrograde or during September, because of work or school or personal stuff, ended up not going to the gym a single day for all of November up until this new moon, and it's getting to be the end of the year, and you wanted to feel all oxygenated and high on life, and you're not feeling that, and you're feeling really frustrated and really aggravated with yourself about that. Well, this is a great moon to kind of connect in with that. Reassess your reasons for why you want to go to the gym, and what's feeling good and what's feeling nurturing. It's that kind of thing that's happening here in this dialogue between these 3 cards. And yeah, is it comfortable? No. But does it mean that it has to be traumatic? Absolutely not. This is a time to balance the scales. It's a time to find greater balance, greater dialogue between the part of you that maybe resists change and the part of you that's very hungry for it. And to find a sense of planning, commitment, and focus for the new year, for eclipse season, for these new beginnings that are coming up, that feels like it is attainable, and it feels like you have your heart open to it as well. So it's really powerful energy. It's very powerful medicine energy. And as far as new moons go, I feel like this one is a little bit more on the irritable side, has a little bit more of the classic symptoms that maybe a full moon would have. So even though, and everybody feels moons differently. Some people feel new moons way more deeply than they do new or full. I tend to really enjoy new moons. I think I get a lot more out of them spiritually than I do out of full moons. But like I said, you know, if you feel that you're having a day where a lot of emotions are coming up, kind of think about that and just keep it in mind. And like I said, you can join me on Patreon. I would love to see you over there. We do the weekly magical astrology write-up, so you get a sense of what the transits are doing behind the scenes during every single week. I always am doing video uploads for extras like Jupiter moving into Capricorn and staying there for most of 2020. We cover all sorts of things, and I also let you in a little bit on my personal life over there. So if you're interested in any of that, you can go join me on Patreon. I would love to see you over there. You can also find my website and my email in the description box as well. All of that stuff is there. And finally, of course, you can find PinkLune's gorgeous jewelry. Tiffany, my dear friend, she is creating some new beautiful things, so go check out her shop. She just makes all of her jewelry with so much love. I think that's everything I have for the moment. I'm sending you all so much love. Have a beautiful new moon in Sagittarius. Have a beautiful beginning to Sagittarius season. I'm so excited to share it with you, and I'm really looking forward to the December readings as well. Oh, we are on a journey in December, that is for sure. I'm sending you so much love, and I will talk to you very soon. Mwah.